questions.
Oh.
Can we get the door shut?
I'm reading this.
Oh, yeah.
He's giving it to you. Okay, so we'll
Throw it.
Oh, nice. Are we supposed to write down our answers? Say, what is South America?
You're going to be actually
They'll be checked
doing them at.
and graded.
Yeah, we're interviewing them, so. Okay.
Buena Vista is the capital.
Everyone ready? Oh, you're fine.
Quick question. How is this going to work? Is there a moderator, or do we have like a just questions?
It's casual Q&A.
Okay, cool.
So if you guys could just introduce yourselves
Okay,
and
you ready?
yeah, we're good.
Alright.
Sorry.
Sorry. Okay, I'm Maddie, and I play Scootaloo on My Little Pony. And I'm Creber, and I am the speaking voice of Applebloom and the singing voice of Applebloom and Sweetie Belle.
Okay. Questions?
So being, underage voice actors, do you find it's more difficult in terms of the industry, the voice acting industry, to interact and deal with people that are most of the time older than you during a job?
Well, I think getting started at first, from my personal experience, I was a little bit nervous because I was working with professionals that have been doing this for a long time, and I didn't know if they would not be accepting of us newbies and saying, oh, well, we've been doing it for much longer, so why are you even here, But they were so nice, and, people like Nicole Oliver and Brenda Critchlow and Andrew Libman, they just take you under their wing, and because they too started at a very young age, and it's always a good thing to get into the business as soon as possible, and everyone's very nurturing and, like family.
Yeah, it's so great to work with people that are just so good. Like, you learn so much from them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when I first started, I didn't know very much, and like, as I recorded more episodes and worked with people that were older than me and better than me and knew the tricks, I just kept on learning more and more, so it was great.
What was working on smart cookies like?
It was fun. It was a great experience because, as previous question, we work mostly with adults, and it's the same in the film and TV industry. Is that you don't usually have the experience with working with other kids, and this was great because they were all my age, and there were four of us. One being Claire Corlett, and of course she's the speaking voice of Sweetie Belle on My Little Pony. And and Bailey Madison's super awesome, and everyone was very sweet, and it was great.
It was just strange to come in and see it on TV. My mother was watching it, of all people.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait a minute. What's the name of this movie you're watching? I'm like, I know what this is.
Question regarding something that Brenda had brought up about developing accents. And she had to go through a process of trying to figure out a Creole accent and mixing in what her Ugandan hairdresser sounded like for Zecora and all this other stuff. Specifically, since you have a character that's speaking with a kind of southern accent, how did you come up with the idea of how approximately you would create a southern accent? How do you maintain it?
It's funny. Someone asked me that question very recently, about 2 hours ago, and I don't really remember it exactly. I did a project a year before My Little Pony. It was called The Adventures of Little Jake, and I was Little Jake, and he was a southern boy, and he was very rough and tough, and he had a very thick southern accent. But Applebloom has more of a light version of Applejack's accent, and that was the direction that our voice director, Terry Clausen, gave me when I was developing the voice. And I think my mom's a voice actor, and she would always do voices around the house, and I pick up voices very quickly, and I'm pretty sure they gave me a reference when I went in for the audition of Ashley's Applejack voice, and they told me to follow that sort of southern accent, and I just developed it by ear, sort of. I don't really remember what kind of tricks or things I used to remember there. I don't know. It's a long time ago. It's been quite a while.
If your characters were each in a movie starring themselves, that, you know, is more or less, for lack of a better way of putting it, like a coming-of-age high school film, what would you want the title to be, and what would you want the conflict to be about?
Okay, I don't know what the title would be. I'm really bad at titling things, my schoolwork and stuff, but I'd want it to be about maybe about bullying and stuff, and like overcoming the school bully, and you know, like finding our talents, I guess, because I guess that is consistent with the show, but I think that would be cool.
Yeah, I think that pretty much sums up what the Cutie Mark Crusaders are about. And their whole goal in life is to find out what they're supposed to do and what they're supposed to be. So that would definitely work for them to have a movie about it. And they are ponies, so maybe there would be the whole thing like in the Equestria Girls where they turn into humans and they're all freaking out and everyone is bullying them that they don't have, you know, their thing in life to do. Because, I mean, it's not really about having a picture on your flank. It's about, you know, your life goals and, you know, your personal dreams. And I think that's what a cutie mark is. So that'd be cool. Yes.
In your opinion, you know, the CMC are kind of a support role because, you know, we call the main six because they are the main characters of the show.
Mm-hmm.
And the CMC kind of they do have their own episodes, but they're relegated to basically side characters. But why do you think that they've made such a connection with the fandom? Because, I mean, there's just as much Cutie Mark Crusader stuff as there is, you know, main six stuff. Why do you think that those characters have connected with the audience so much? Because they are little kids, basically.
I think it's because I can't speak for everyone, of course, but I think people can relate to them. I think people can relate to the fact that they're trying to find themselves, really, and like other ponies get in the way of that, and a bunch of different things get in the way. But like when it comes down to it, they're a lot like a lot of us, everybody, just trying to find kind of who they are, and yeah, I guess they can kind of see themselves in the Crusaders, and they like them, and also they're kind of cute.
Yeah. And also, part of the answer is in your question, because the fact that they are kids makes them so lovable, and there's an element of innocence in the characters. And, you know, I remember there was a story where there's a lot of military bronies, as probably you all know, yes, hello. And this one guy was saying that, you know, it reminded me of my childhood. And so it brings back the connection of being a young, you know, pony, and, well, I don't think anyone would have been a young pony. That would have been a little weird. But being young and still having that little blank spot in yourself and trying to find what that is. And yeah, that's why I think they're so relatable.
Do you guys have any future projects that you really like are either want to discuss, or else do you have something that you'd love to do that, you know, kind of like Peter New at TrotCon was talking how his dream thing is to be on Doctor Who, basically. So do you have anything like that you know, someone you want to work with more than anybody, or some property you want to be on more than anything?
I don't know, someone that I would just adore to work with is Steve Carell. Because I think he's just... The Office is my favorite show of all time. I've watched every episode, and I've learned almost everything about acting from that show. And I'm in love with his style of performing, and it would just be so much fun. That would be my dream person to work with.
I think Michelle's kind of already done one of the things that I really want to do someday, which is have a guest role on Supernatural. It would be really cool because it's one of my favorite shows, and also, of course, I'd love to be on Doctor Who. And as far as people I'd want to work with, I don't know, I'd love to work with Matt Smith, because I love him a lot. And yeah, he's a really good actor. I admire him.
Question about the when you're using the voices. I've noticed that if you're going to go through an episode, sometimes there'll be lots of emotion, or there might be yelling and things like that. Since you guys seem to be a lot more active sometimes, especially like Scootaloo, with their kind of like a little bit of an airy, slightly whiny voice that kind of like it sounds like it almost something like that. It like squeezes a little bit on the vocal cords. How do you guys set yourselves up so you're not like overexerting your vocal cords, or how do you prevent them from getting damaged as you're going through it?
Tea.
I was just gonna say tea, and I knew it. That's more of what we do to, what we drink in between sessions and stuff. But your last part of the question, how do you prevent straining your vocal cords? That's a good question. You just have to be aware of what your voice is capable of and where your limits are, because some people can do much more with their voice than other people, and that also comes with practice and making sure that you don't push it, and just taking breaks and resting your vocal cords. So you just got to be aware of your own voice.
Yeah, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Like, it's important to rest your voice if it starts to feel a little bit like it's going away, or it starts to hurt a bit. Then resting it is really important, and it's hard to not talk, but I try to be silent whenever I feel something coming on, something a little scratchy.
Yeah.
Following up on that a bit, Brenda and Lee have both talked about how when they're trying to get into certain characters, Brenda has that thing she does, and Lee will do the what a world for Stephen Magnet. Do you two have any catchphrases basically that you use to get into Appleton or Scootaloo?
Awesome! That's so cool!
That kind of stuff.
Aren't you gonna stay for brunch? That's ours. But sometimes if this doesn't happen with us anymore because we've been doing these characters for a long time now, but if it's a character that you haven't done in maybe a year or something, recurring role on a series or something, they will play you a voice ref, and it'll basically be a line from the previous episode, and just to get you back in the character. That's how you fix that sort of like blank spot in your mind. You're like, whoa, what is that character again? So they'll show you and bring up the voice ref. Yes.
We know that you have quite good voice with songs. We heard it with all the songs. But how did it feel to sing the first song, the Cutie Mark Crusader song? It's so out of tunes. How did it make you feel?
Oh, I still remember that session. That was funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, your voice was gone.
Oh yeah, like that was one of those instances where I pushed it a little too far and I couldn't talk the next day. But it was so much fun to record, and like the whole time, like everyone just kept saying, "Oh yeah, do it worse. Like make it more Osky."
Daniel Ingram was like, you know, it's good. It needs to be bad. it just needs to stink. But Apple was sort of in the middle of Sweetie Belle and Scootaloo, because Sweetie Belle actually got to sing, well, because Sweetie Belle is supposed to be that singer. And that episode always bugged me when I'm watching. I was like, how do you not know what... You're good at crafts, you are good at scootering, you are good at singing. Figure it out. So I got to sing good for Sweetie Belle, and then Apple Bloom, we had to find a good medium, because she wasn't supposed to be like horrific, but she wasn't supposed to be good. But Maddie had to go full out.
What is your favorite thing that's happened over the weekend here so far?
My favorite thing that's happened over the weekend.
Oh, this is a hard one. Okay.
I'm just so tired. It's like, wait, what day is it? Okay, Sunday. It's funny how we can answer questions about 4 years ago, but we can't answer questions about like 2 hours ago.
It's just all the fans have been so great. Like meeting each and every person and talking to them and, you know,
Finding out their stories.
Yeah, and signing whatever and just getting to interact with the fans is so much fun. It's just,
Yeah. Well, a great experience today, besides the concert, fans were awesome and it was pumping, it was so much energy in the room, that was awesome. But today, Black Griffin, as many of you know, was able to come to this convention, but it required serious airfare and it was, you know, many thousands, and because he had to come from all the way across the world. So the Bronies, we held a brunch, and we called it Aren't You Gonna Stay from French? And we raised so much money, and all these fans were just so generous, and all their stories were so inspiring, and it's such a fantastic feeling and so humbling that we've affected these Bronies' lives in a positive way and kept them going through hard times, and we're so lucky, and we thank everyone for giving us that experience of, you know, knowing that we have an effect on each and every one of you. That's just so amazing.
Michelle, can I just say thank you for doing that for him, because the rest of us military bronies, we knew that it was going to be a huge airfare, and we didn't know that. I personally didn't know that you were going ahead and doing that brunch and raising that money, but that I personally thank you very much for going ahead and doing that.
Oh no, it's my pleasure. You know, Gabe's an amazing musician and a great friend, so that's art.
Michelle, you've worked with Mando Pony as well as some fun stuff. What has that been like? Or it's such a unique thing, and you know, we don't really hear about stuff like that. Celebrities interacting with their fans on that certain level. What's that been like working with him, and now working with Black Griffin on such an intimate level in terms of you know, music and stuff like that?
Yeah. Well, it's a very good thing because it gives me a connection with the fandom, and I think that's super important because if it weren't for the fans, we wouldn't be here. And I like to give every fan, you know, my time, and I want to give them a gift because they have given us the most amazing gift a voice actor could ever get. So to have that, as you're saying, you know, connection with the fandom and doing stuff with Brony musicians and artists and such, I think is a very important for a healthy relationship with your, you know, with the Bronies and everything. So it's been fantastic working with all of them. Because they're so talented too. Like, it's just crazy. It's like, how are you not famous? You are fantastic.
Have you guys gotten to read the comics by now? I was guessing.
I haven't read any actually.
Oh.
No, I should do that.
I was going to ask what you think of your portrayal in there, because you guys feature very prominently in the first 4 issues. So that
Okay, I'm gonna get on that.
Yeah, we should do that.
Yeah.
We do try to read stuff that fans give us and everything. And I got a comic today, so I will definitely look at that when I have a chance.
Yeah, no, the official ones then, that's at least the first 4-issue arc, there's definitely a lot of Cutie Mark
Oh,
Crusaders.
right, the official one.
Yes,
Totally.
the ones with Andy, Katie, and Heather.
Yeah.
Not like fan comics.
But that was the one that a person gave me because they were working at the station, and then Andy sent it over.
Mhm.
So I will definitely look at that when I have spare time. Yes.
Michelle, you were saying that your favorite show is The Office, and you've learned a lot of acting from that.
Oh, absolutely.
Do you think you've learned enough to like try and push for comedy a little bit into that?
Totally. You know, it's funny. There's not a lot of comedy in Vancouver. In fact, basically none at all. If there's any comedy auditions, it's from LA or Toronto. And it sucks because my main thing is comedy. And a lot of people don't know that because I've mostly done serious stuff, because that's happening in the business where we live. You know, and when I was a kid, all I did was theater productions, and I was always playing the funny person, and I love comedy. And The Office, I mean, I learned some dramatic things from The Office, like there's very natural acting, but not necessarily like really intense stuff. So I have learned a lot of comedic tricks and stuff from The Office, but definitely comedy is a main thing that I do. People just don't know because I haven't had an opportunity yet, but hopefully someday.
As a follow-up to that, would you say that the style you like is more like Steve Carell's character of kind of just a persona that ends up being consistently funny, or more along the lines of Dwight, where it's both the it's a mix of both the things that they are doing as well as like maybe a little bit of slapstick and possibly the jokes and the wording and such like that?
I love all those styles. You know, with all my work, I try to be very versatile and have a variety of things, and because I think you can't go wrong with that, because there's something in it for everyone then. So all types of comedy I like to explore and just find out, like, for example, if I was auditioning for a character, I would, you know, make a choice and think, you know, what would work for this character, and try to bring all the elements of either Dwight or Dwight and Michael or just Michael, you know. And once again, you just can't go wrong with trying new types of comedy.
Slightly more serious question with Nicole and Kathy. Nicole mentioned she has a master's in communications, wants to get a PhD in sociology.
Yeah.
And I think Kathy has a sociology degree, I'm not sure what level. Do you two have anything, you know, outside of the acting world that you'd like to pursue, you know, in terms of study, so on and so forth?
Well, I'm just starting to apply for colleges, and I'm looking around, and what I really want to do is I want to go to art school, and I want to be maybe like an illustrator or go into animation, like on the drawing side.
She's crazy good, by the way. Fantastic.
Thanks. And I'm actually going to be applying to MICA here in Baltimore, so I'm really hoping I get in there. And yeah, doing something on the arts would be good for me.
You said a second ago that you try to read whatever the fans give you. You're talking about letters and stuff, or do you mean like fan fiction?
Well, anything.
Okay.
I get a wide variety of gifts and letters and fan mail from the Bronies, and I just, once again, I said I try to give everyone my time, and I respect all the fans and everything that they do, so I want to acknowledge that and make sure that they know that I've seen that and respect.
Have you gotten anything especially noteworthy from the fans?
Well, no, there's no unworthy things. I mean, there's some spectacular things, and maybe, you know, if, for example, I mean, if a 10-year-old girl sends me a drawing, it's just as equally as, you know, generous, and everyone has their own specialties and everything, so there's no right or wrong. They're all very sweet, and I mean, there's some, obviously, there's trolls and haters and everything, but I don't, you know, you don't need to worry about those, and they're not your real fans, so I just, every real fan.
Were you saying unworthy or noteworthy?
Noteworthy.
I thought you said unworthy.
Sorry.
Noteworthy. Wait.
Like really
What was the question
special?
again? Oh, okay.
It's the end of the
I'm telling you, it's like it went off track.
We
All right.
understand.
Oh, that's funny. I thought you said unworthy. I'm like, that's an interesting question. Okay. There's some crazy stuff. You know, you got wired sculptures and amazing letters and stories, and just everything's crazy, fantastic, and in their own way. And I don't want to, you know, say specifics, but to exclude anyone else, I'm so thankful for any gift that any fan gives me. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, a question about your vision of Scootaloo, because we know about Apple Bloom's family because she's with the apples, and we know that Sweetie Belle has her sister Rarity and her parents, but we don't see a lot of things with Scootaloo. In fact, we didn't see an episode centered around her on just on season 3. What is your personal view for her background, for her story, because we don't have anything? And when we spoke with Zikora's voice actress, she said that she imagined a story behind to help her to focus, to explain how she reacts to things. Do you have something like that for Scootaloo to help you to focus and to react better to every dialogue that you have to face?
Well, in my head, and I know nothing, and I'd love to know more actually, but I think Scootaloo's she's got parents, she's got, you know, very busy parents, but she hasn't got any siblings, she's an only child. And that, I guess that makes her kind of lonely. She really likes the company of others, like she loves friends, and what she wants most, a lot, is an older sister. And so that kind of shows through with how she interacts with Rainbow Dash a lot, and you know. So I think the idea that she's an only child, and she just really doesn't have a lot of other ponies to interact with at home. So that helps me with her interactions with other characters.
About your parents, how do they feel? What do they think about you getting involved in the Brony phenomenon, and the Brony phenomenon, and being guest at convention?
Oh, well, my dad's in the animation business, and he kind of knows what's going on, you know, with like with My Little Pony and everything. And then when he found out about the Bronies, well, same with my mom. Like when they found out about the Bronies, they were kind of confused. They were like, okay, well,
Yeah,
like there's some older fans, like that's interesting, cool, it's a cartoon. And then they found out how big it was, and they found out like about these cons and everything, and I think they got really excited, just like I was, and they were like, wow, like my daughter, she's part of this huge thing it's got a fandom, and it's got all this good like charity work and art and everything, and they're really appreciative of the fandom. So
yeah. Myself and my parents had the same sort of reaction. It was, you know, no one expected it. It was very new. It was very interesting at first, but of course, keep an open mind, no judgment, you know, at all. So we looked it up and we did a lot of research, and the more and more we've got to know the Brony phenomenon, it's just been an amazing ride, and it's really affected all our lives, and so we respect the fandom, and a lot of my family does now, and my grandparents have come to conventions, and because, you know, what's not to like? I mean, there's always stuff with any fandom that's not bright, but that's not the real core of the, you know, for example, the Bronies. So some people dig into that stuff and they find bad things, but that's not, you know, compared to the amazingness of all the other things. It's just not even relevant. So a lot of my family, you know, has really kept an open mind, and now are really appreciative, as Maddie said, of the Brony community.
Question regarding how you come up with voices, again, as a process. One of the things we noticed was that Kathy Westlook seems to has a really good ability to generate voices without too much physical expression, but at the same time, Brenda does need to have like room to wave her arms about and actually really summon the voices from her actions. Which roles do you guys tend to fall into?
I think everyone has their own way of expressing their voices, because that's what voice acting is all about, is, you know, taking your character and throwing it across a screen without having any facial expression, without any movement, and it has to have an effect on the audience. And in order to do that, it has to be, you know, dramatic. It has to be a little bit more upbeat. And sometimes, in order to do that, as voice actors, you know, have to use our arms and really get our full body into it to get that message across to the viewer. But others like to keep it more contained. I don't know. I can't speak for myself. I mean, I can't speak for myself, but I can't speak for many. That I do often use my hands to express my character. What do you do, Maddie?
Well, I kind of hope that I never see what I look like when I'm doing the
Yeah.
Scootaloo voice, because I probably look pretty silly. I don't know. I think I tend to clench my fist and move a lot, but I don't do any really big arm movements. It's mostly like my hands in front of the stand, and sometimes I hit the stand where my
Me
script
too. Me
is.
too. We always hit the stand. It's the dog sour. Ding, 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 ding. I know that some people get really into it. It also depends on your character that you're playing, because, for example, Andrew Francis, for his character, the prince, he has a very, very broad voice, very big and powerful, and so he always does, he's always flinging his arms out and going, ha, say, ho, and I think for Apple Bloom, one of the things I do is her voice is kind of up there, and it's up in my range, especially now that I'm getting older. I always sort of my body kind of goes upward, and it's just, it's not even saying a fist kind of clench and everything just to get up to that high range. And it helps because that means that, if you tense your body, you're not tensing your vocal cords, but you still get that power, when you're talking into the mic. So it's more of a personal thing, what your character's like, so everyone's different. It's a good question, though. I don't think we've ever been asked that.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
The community creates a lot of theory about what could be the human crusader in the future. But what do you personally think of what they are going to be, or what development you'd like to see in the show?
Like what situations they find themselves in and stuff?
Yeah, or even what cutie are.
Oh. I was talking to you yesterday about what I think the cutie mark might be. And this is, forget about the show again, because
Yeah, we don't know anything, we have no spoilers.
We cannot confirm nor deny the existence or non-existence of any. They get themselves into a lot of shenanigans, and there's already several examples of that in the show. But an awkward situation, I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know.
They're kids, so they could probably do some pretty fun stuff. Probably Diamond Tiara and Silver Spoon gonna cause more trouble, maybe. I don't know. It's a really weird example, but if they wrapped them in cotton candy and stuck them to the little point on Sugar Cube corner, just left them there, just I don't know. It's just
Suck okay.
yeah, it's just they just awkwardly,
how's it going?
I don't know, that'd be something that they would get themselves into. And they'd just be sitting there oh, hey Granny Smith, hey guys, I don't know, that was a really weird example. I don't know why that came to my head. But,
Were you saying having the Crusaders stuck up there, or having the bullies stuck up there?
No, the Crusaders, because in movies there's a stereotype where the bully, hangs the little kid up in their underwear, on the big podium or something in the flagpole. So it'd be like that, except on Sugar Cube Corner, wrapped up and then just hung there. Well, that's a little bit dramatic, but I don't know what. That's a hard question, but that's my odd, interpretive, odd answer.
So the idea is to have Cutie Mark Crusader Crucifixion.
Wait,
And
what did I do? What did I do?
it's all right banner for that right now.
I know, that's, yeah. Oh dear.
Erase the last minute.
Okay, fine.
Next question.
Okay, I got a legitimate one. So when Kathy Westlake was in here, she was actually developing a little bit of a soreness in her throat. And one of the things that she said she was sometimes able to do was settle her normal talking voice into a different range so that she would move like up an octave, and she would actually be able to continue to talk at that level so that it wouldn't hurt her voice as much. Have you guys ever been able to do that with your own ranges?
Oh, well, not really actually. When I started to get a bit of a sore throat, like I kind of just have trouble talking altogether. Try to stay silent.
I don't know. That's interesting. Interesting theory.
Ask her about it.
No, theory's not the right word. Strategy. But I think we all kind of do that subconsciously with our voices. It's more not necessarily a range thing for me. I can't speak for myself. I can't speak for Maddie. But I just try not to, I don't talk like this. Hey, man, what's up? My goodness, we're talking so loud right now. I try to keep it more contained and just be careful that I don't yell and everything. I don't necessarily change the pitch of my voice, but I think we all kind of do that. Just also not talking. It's another way of changing your voice. Is just, and, yeah.
Lee's obviously working on FanBuilt right now. Are you two at all involved with him in that project?
Not right now, but Lee's talked about it to us, and I'm not still completely familiar with the concept, and I think it's more of a fan thing, but we're great friends with Lee, so maybe if he ever needs help or something, we'd definitely help.
Yeah.
Market the thing, and I think it's a cool idea too. So.
I'd love to get involved with FanBuilt. Like it seems cool. I don't know that much about it, and I keep on going like, okay, I'm gonna go on FanBuilt, and then I get on my computer, and it's just like all the things that I was planning on doing on my computer just leave my mind.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Do you have a favorite? Because I know Claire really likes Minecraft, and she does the videos for that. Do you have
Yeah,
a favorite distraction when you're online?
Okay, well, I like Minecraft a lot, actually. I don't play very much, but I do like it. I kind of automatically open up Tumblr every time I go on my computer, and it's really hard to get off. So that would probably be my biggest distraction.
For me, I don't know, for the longest time it was the Guild. Every time I open my computer and I had a spare bit of time, I'm like, I'm watching an episode of the Guild. But I never really got into gaming, and I'm still not into that. I sometimes play like Wii and stuff with my friend, Mario Kart, but I don't think I've ever tried Minecraft or like a game like Portal or something. But it's more just, I sometimes go on and I watch an episode because I'm very proactive. So if I'm washing the dishes or something, I'll automatically turn on my computer and start listening to music or watch a TV episode or something.
Going off of that, have you ever been able to meet Felicia or Will, since I know both of them are involved with that?
I have not met Felicia, but I know that my uncle, he's working on a project with a director. He did Lawnmower Man. His name's Brett, and they were working with Felicia on their project, I think, for a little while. So.
And then Will Wheaton, since I know he's, at least in the later seasons, gets involved with that.
No, I don't think, no, I don't know what's ever met him.
As you're practicing, you probably know several voices you can do, but are you afraid to lose these voices as you're getting older and not be able to voice a character anymore?
Well, that's a good question, because actually I started doing Martha Speaks, I don't know if you guys know it, when I was 11, and so I did that in my natural voice, and it was totally natural for me. It took no effort. And then I started to get older, and we kept on making more episodes, and then it was kind of scary. It was like, ooh, am I still going to be able to do this? Or are we going to have to like hire someone else here? But like it wasn't too bad, but the difference here with Scootaloo is that, well, first of all, my voice isn't getting too much older. It's kind of stopped maturing, and also it's like a put-on voice. It's not my natural range, so it's not hard to try and get back there, because it's always like a different thing for my voice.
Yeah. And all us young voice actors and actors worry about that because there are a lot of instances where people, young kids lose their roles because their voice gets older. And it's more of a boy thing because their voice, of course, changes very dramatically. But for us, I think the Cutie Mark Crusaders voices they get a little bit harder to get, to that range, but I think we can still get there because it is not our regular voice. And even if it was, if we have a reference and we know what that sounded like, that's our job. We put ourselves into other characters and know exactly what they have to sound like, and hopefully, as we mature, we can still get to that place in our vocal cords and range.
If you had the possibility to direct an episode of My Little Pony by yourself, which character would you personally focus on, be it one of the Cutie Mark Crusaders, one of the main six, or one of the villains, or any other secondary character?
Well, I'd love to do an episode. Oh yeah, actually, that just made it better. Yeah, I'd love to do an episode like focusing on Doctor Who's. That'd be cool. But I was gonna say Zecora and maybe her backstory. And in the panel earlier, they're talking about her interacting with Princess Celestia. I think that would be really cool, and focusing on flashbacks maybe and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Well, what we were talking about a little while ago, I didn't really think about that. We don't know much about Scootaloo's background. And in order to know a character fully, we gotta have, some reasoning why she is, or, because that's also important on, developing a character. And I think that's great that Maddie's sort of discovered that on her own, and that's a very important thing in acting. So I'd love to see an episode where we get to know Scootaloo's family, and I think that Scootaloo deserves it because she's a great character, so yeah.
Something that someone else has asked some of the other voice actors, since the convention circuit, I mean this will apply more to you since you've been at more of them, has given, or as I understand, the voice actors rarely have an opportunity to meet with the writers and, other people outside of conventions. And, Nicole talked about how she met with Megan. Megan's like, hey, let's pss, 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 pss. And Nicole's like, oh my gosh, but what if we pss, 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 pss? And I'm literally said what she said here. And that supposedly has led to a thing that may happen later on, whatever that may be. Have you guys had any moments like that where you've gotten to meet with the writers or something and talk about how you see things, what you'd like to see maybe happen, that sort of thing?
No, in general, even the people that I did know, including Maddie, I think this whole convention, phenomenon and the bronies has brought all of us voice actors together, because even when you know a person for years and you're always in session with them and, you talk, you have chit-chat, but you don't get to know a person. You don't have that friendship or real trust with a person until you actually spend real everyday life time with them. And, this is my 10th convention, and I've been traveling a lot with people like Andrea and Peter New, and so we've developed, more of a closer family, like you do in film or TV, because you're spending more off time with them when they're setting up the shot, or when you're having lunch. But with voice acting, you go in, you do your session, and there's a little bit of talking, but then you go. And even if you're working with the person for a long time, you don't really get to talk with them. So I think it's been great to get to know people that I have known for a long time and have gotten the experience to work with them, but to get to know them at a more personal level.
And I've met some of the writers, and it's really great to meet them because I see their names on the scripts and stuff, and it's like, oh, this is a really good script.
Who is
this person's really,
yeah.
really talented. Wow. So it's really great to meet them, but I've never actually had any discussions with them on what I'd like to see or anything. So that'd be interesting, though.
Thanks.
Anyone?
What was there as a follow-up to that or something related to it? remember something I wanted to ask you. You mentioned that you wanted to go into art and animation potentially, but then, you know, we kind of skipped over. Did you have anything you want to look into in the college and beyond area besides acting and singing?
Well, I'm 13, man, so
Time.
yeah.
Haven't really thought about that yet.
Not like college and stuff, but I have things other than acting that I love to do. Like I love dance. I also love cooking. And if I had to choose something right now that could not be anything like dancing or acting or singing or doing all this stuff, I would probably say I want to, you know, go into cooking school and become a chef. And I love working with food, and I love, you know, baking and everything to do with it. And I went to culinary school, not this year unfortunately because I've been so busy, but in previous years. And I just love it. I think it's a lot of fun, and it's very creative, and you know, you get to experiment, and it's just, I enjoy it thoroughly.
Again, about Scootaloo. After the Stairmaster and the whole Scootaloo is a chicken, how do you feel when you go to convention and necessarily you have a lot of people who go to see you with maybe fan art or some reference always saying, yeah, oh, Scootaloo is a chicken. How does it feel?
I came here expecting so many chicken jokes and everything, but I actually haven't seen that many, and I'm kind of worried here that people think that I'm offended by it. I really don't want anyone to think I'm offended, because I think it's pretty funny. I mean, people getting me to sign a KFC bucket, people talking about I would like that. I would thoroughly enjoy that, actually. I'd probably take pictures, so yeah, I haven't seen a lot of it, but I did get one really cute fan art of like an orange chicken with a little pinky purple thingy on its head. And yeah, I think it's funny.
We could probably take one more question. Or not.
No one wants to be that last one.
When you two were handed your respective roles, what went through your mind, like right when you were handed your first script?
When I was handed my first script, and this was quite a while after I, you know, was told that I was going to be playing Apple in My Little Pony. And I was excited. I mean, I wasn't really into ponies or Barbies when I was a kid, but I thought, you know, hey, this is a really cool show. I think the animation looks good. I mean, of course, no one expected it to blow up like this, but it, you know, sounded like a really cool project, and I knew from the audition script that it wasn't like, hi, my name is Apple Bloom, and I like ponies, and I like sparkly things, and I like pink, you know? But it actually had some story to it, and when I was handed my first script, I read it, and I was like, wow, that's really cool. And they, you know, actually had a lesson to it, and had backstories, and all this stuff, and very detailed script. And I was really excited, but also nervous, because it was my first big voice actor project, you know, so I was, okay, hi, my name is Michelle Creber, hi, you know. I was just a little bit worried, but everyone was so nice, and I think that it was just, I had no idea, but it was meant to be that we all got these roles on My Little Pony.
Yeah, when I first heard that I was going to be auditioning for My Little Pony, I was thinking like, hi, I like pink and purple, like that type of thing. And then I read the character descriptions. I saw that you know, they sometimes put a little picture of the characters so you see what they look like, and I saw that and I went, wow, these look like actually some really well developed, like round characters. Like this looks like it could be a good show. But I still wasn't really sure like how good it would be. And then I got my first script, and I was actually blown away. I was like, wow, this is fun to read. Like I'm excited while I'm reading it. It's like I'm actually watching the show right now. So it was cool.
Can I ask one final one? Sure. So one thing that has happened with some of the other voice actors is they've kind of had experiences with neighbors, or, you know, I know Tara's had kids in her son's class who are like amazed that his mom is Twilight Sparkle. you know, that sort of thing. So have you guys ever had any experiences with, you know, where it's just kind of innocuous everyday life and suddenly someone who you would be expected to casually interact with, so to speak, is, oh my God, you're so-and-so, this has really, you know, infected me in some way.
Yeah, we've had that quite a bit. You know, it's voice acting is a little bit different than other, you know, film and TV stuff because people don't often recognize you because they love your voice, but they don't love your face because they don't know what your face looks like. I think now with the conventions and stuff, everyone's, you know, getting to know us voice actors and seeing us as real people and not just our voices and characters. And it's funny though, because with voice acting they don't recognize your face, you get to know a person for, I don't know, 5 months. I mean, I'm a girl at dance. I knew her in my class for a long time. And then one day we just started talking and they're like, why are you going to Houston? I'm like, oh, I'm going to a convention. And, you know, I'm a voice, I'm like, oh, you're a voice of My Little Pony? My sister is in love with that show. She just loves it. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe it, you know? And it's crazy because they don't know it until, you know, you just start talking about it. So I've had quite a few experiences like that. What about you, Maddie?
Well, yeah, actually, there was a guy in my chem class who I didn't know that he was a brony until like probably the last month of school, and apparently we'd worked together on a few projects, and he never said anything, but apparently he knew who I was. So, yeah, and also I helped teach a ballet class, like of little 5-year-old girls, and I just kind of helped out with the teacher. And at the end, I told them that I was on My Little Pony, and they were all like, "You're on My Little Pony!" Like they were so excited. It was really cute. And they all crowded around and hugged my legs.
That's hilarious. I had that exact same experience. I was student teaching one of ballet class, you know, in my dance studio, and at the end, my teacher, Miss Vanek, was like, "Oh, so this is My Little Pony." And I'm like, yeah, and then all the kids like, oh my gosh, what are you playing? You're Alpha and everything. It's so hilarious.
Well, that is all the time we have. Thank you very, very much. It's been a pleasure.